Hello, welcome to our special live streaming series COVID-19 Frontline on CGTN. COVID-19 Frontline is a platform which usually provides a platform for medical experts from around the world to share their thoughts and experiences on fighting and containing COVID-19. But today, the focus of our topic will be a little bit different, which I will explain very shortly. And apart from the discussions among our guests, we also take questions from our followers on various social platforms, including CGTN app, official website, CGTN official account on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Sina Weibo. So feel free to leave your comments and questions on those platforms with the hashtag of my opinion on COVID-19. We look forward to hearing from you. And today we have young people, a full house of young people joining us from China, the United States, UK, many European countries, and also one from Thailand, but now stays in UK. So hopefully, they can share with us many of their thoughts because they're young, they are promising, and also they are very energetic. But just as many of us who have faced so many uncertainties and challenges amid this pandemic. So hopefully we can get idea from those young people about how this experience have shaped their thoughts, changed their plans, and maybe even transform their futures. And now, without further ado, let's just get started. And usually what we do, is me introduce to you our guests, but today I want to do something a little bit special, which is to have our very, very handsome, beautiful guests introducing to you all of them. So let's just get started. Let's start with the ladies. Lady first. Let's start with Ava. So Ava, please.
Hi, my name's Ava, and I'll be a senior going into high school this year. I moved last year from Ohio to Wisconsin, and now I live in a smaller town, pretty suburban, a little ways out from Milwaukee. I'll be in the process of applying to colleges this winter, so it's definitely going to be a little different.
Okay, thank you so much, Ava. Shengyue.
Hi, I'm Shen Yue from Shanghai, China. Recently graduated from Conseil School, a high school in the U.S., and plan to attend Base College in Maine this fall. So I'm an online columnist and project planner. I'm so glad to be here to share my perspectives.
Okay, thank you. And Hamina, please.
Hi, my name is Jimena Carballo. I'm 17 years old, alien. I live in France, in the city of Lyon. I'm in school, I'm studying management, and I'm an incoming high school senior, next year.
Okay, thank you. And Chen Yue, please. This is my former colleague, actually. It's the only one familiar face that I know in this guest house. Yes, Chen Yue, please.
Hi everybody. I graduated from Yale Jackson Institute for Global Affairs in May, and I'm currently working on the history research project at Yale.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. Let's go to the two gentlemen here. Chip.
Hi, my name is Nathapon or Chip. I'm a first-year PhD student in education at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, and I examine the notion of intercultural competency in Thai to English interpreters, and I've been in Glasgow for almost a year now. And on the other hand, back in Thailand, where I'm originally from, I'm also a faculty member of the Faculty of Liberal Arts, Thammasat University in Bangkok. And I taught there for 5 years before coming here. So I am actually on study leave at the moment.
Wow, cool. So finally, let's go to Alex.
Hello, my name's Alex. I've just almost finished graduating from law school, doing a law conversion course. From London, and sort of looking to get into the field of law at the moment. I'm finding that a challenge as a result of the pandemic. That's me.
Wow, that's cool. From
26 years of age as well.
Yeah, and you will probably become a lawyer,
Sorry?
right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Fingers crossed.
Oh, nice. Yes, fingers crossed. And also, you might be the most talkative and eloquent person in our array of guests today, because you're professionally trained to argue with people and also to make a living from it. So, guys, be careful, right? Okay, so let's just get started. Let's start with our high school students here because they may have, this pandemic may brought so many challenges to all of us, but for them it might be extra tougher because they need to apply for universities very soon. So how about let's start with Ava. Ava, I know you're going to start to apply for colleges just later this year. We're starting from early next year. So will this process be tougher for you due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think some things have become easier, such as the test scoring, like ACT and SAT. A lot of them are optional now.
Yeah.
So a lot of schools are kind of focusing more on what a student has done, and especially their recommendations or just their essays and how well they portray themselves. So I think that for some people is going to be a major advantage. But also just for the selection process in general, considering you can't go to a school and look at it and kind of feel the atmosphere and ask questions, it's a lot harder to determine what schools you want to go to or what you're kind of interested in. So that's been a major kind of road bump this year. And also a lot of schools are kind of dropping a lot of things like extracurriculars, and even just going on campus is very iffy right now. So that's definitely something we all have to think about when we're applying, because we maybe aren't getting what we'd normally be able to pay for.
Right. What about you, Hamina? Are you experiencing similar, either good or bad things about what Ava have just said?
Yeah, well, I agree with her, but I'm not planning to go to college, so I don't know how it works. But my plan was to work and study program. So it's 2 years, and you spend half the time studying and half the time at work. So you're paid and everything. And I think with COVID-19, it's gonna be really harder to find a job because of the safety rules and everything. But I agree with her.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hamina. So Alex, Hamina just said it might be harder to find a job for her, right? What about you? Because I know you just graduated from law school. Is it really hard for you to become a lawyer? Maybe you need to start as a paralegal, right? So how is the job market doing or treating you? Sorry, you need to unmute yourself before you talk. Thank you.
Apologies. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm actually work at the moment. So I was as a paralegal during my studies part time, which I've continued doing. I have noticed a lot of the training tracks that are from different law firms, city firms, and that's that's a lot of them, or a lot of them I've applied for have been pushed till next year, which is quite frustrating because a lot of the applications were filling out March and May, or not even May, January and February, and only just now they've said they're going to withdraw any applicants for the coming year. It's a bit frustrating.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of looking for I find it very difficult trying to find work. At the moment.
Yeah, there's usually challenges where sudden, changes like this could bring a big impact to the job market. Because I remember when I was back in 2016 when I studied at University of Cambridge, and at that time, there was the sudden decision of Brexit. So it's like overnight, so many jobs just got vanished, so many job opportunities, right? So yeah, I believe it's a hard time. But it's not only hard for people to find a job for, the graduate. It's even hard for some people to come back home, right? Shengyue, I heard for you, luckily enough, you got admitted by a dozen of universities, but it was quite an arduous journey, I would say, or bumpy journey for you to go back to China from the States. So just tell us a little bit more on that.
Yeah. That's so true. So I left the US in May and returned to China. So we know the travel restrictions and the ticket plan, like the planet tickets, is so hard to find online. So I went through my last 2 months of high school online, and then I came home. So I back from Connecticut to LaGuardia Airport in New York on May the 12th, and the next morning I took a flight to Seoul. Because of the virus prevention and the control of the airport, I slept on the chair in the airport waiting room for one night. And then I flew to Tokyo and then transferred to Fuzhou, where I was quarantined for 14 days plus 4 times of COVID-19 testing.
So wow.
So it's a pretty bumpy
It is
journey.
really, really hard. So that was like, what, 5 connecting flights, right?
Yeah,
about
4
5
actually. Yeah.
Oh, 4, wow. So,
Yeah.
Chenyue, is that the reason, this kind of arduous journey that made you stay in the States? How are you enjoying or how are you feeling right now? Now I'm talking to Chenyue, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry, you have similar names. I have to pronounce it really, really perfectly. Yes, Chenyue. Is that the flights thing that, keeps you in the States? Or you think it's safer just to stay where you are, just like why so many people are doing now?
Yeah, I think my previous correspondent experience kind of prepared me well for this kind of unexpected situation.
You have to tell them first, because I have to tell you, Chenyue used to report on the war zone, right? So to her, that she has suffered or experienced so much more things that are much more dangerous, much more shocking than this, right? So maybe the pandemic was not a big thing to you, I assume.
Yeah, it's also very challenging, but I think I made the decision in March when the cases increasing rapidly in the U.S. I think it's kind of still under my control to maintain my own safety and health, and also because I've been following the news and reports what happened in China since late January. So I've been having enough knowledge about this COVID-19. I know how to do the precautious procedures correctly to maintain safe. So I never really hesitated over the choice of going home. I made the decision to join this history research project in winter. So
yeah. It's good, you have something to do at home, and also I guess you also have more time to spend with your cats, right? So maybe your cat is really happy that you can spend more time with him or her. I don't know, right?
Yes.
Cool. So what about Chip? Because now Chenyue said she has this project going on, helping a professor to write a book. What about the project now you're conducting in Glasgow? Has it been affected by any way by this pandemic?
Yeah, well, first of all, doing a PhD in the UK is vastly different from doing it in the US.
Right.
Because you're treated as, an independent researcher right from the get-go. And fortunately, I had finished all the required coursework and training courses before COVID-19 arrived in Scotland. That was like before March. So I was set to, sit down, research, and write a thesis, which could be done physically anywhere. But the drawback is that I had to rely on solely on online journals, articles, and websites since the library was closed for about 4 months. The other impact that I had was on my data collection plan. And my initial plan was to travel back to Thailand for interviewing people. And of course, the plan has been disrupted by COVID-19, so everything has been suspended. So I'm moving everything online.
Yeah.
Had I not taken that option, COVID would have taken at least half a year, I think. And the other important thing is about using the workspace at the uni. Being able to share your thoughts, what's going on, and your progress with your peers. I can be inspired that way, and sometimes I can inspire other people as well. But now you're just sitting at home at your desk by yourself.
So just sitting there by yourself, are you enjoying it, or you really hate it?
It depends. You can concentrate on your work more, but 4 months is not easy.
Yeah.
So you just have to pace yourself. It's you're trying to balance work and life, but once work and life become one, at home, it's the same place, the same apartment. Things get more and more difficult each day. Yeah,
right.
Psychologically as well, I think.
Right. So what about Ava? Because just as Chip mentioned, you have more time to stay at home or spend with your family, with yourself. So how are you dealing with it? How do you, or maybe even dealing with your parents? Do you have more like a honeymoon period of time, or started to fight more? So what was it like?
Yeah, luckily I have a pretty close family, so I was kind of used to having a good amount of family time.
Yeah.
So there has been a noticeable increase, which for me is a little difficult, especially getting a little older and trying to be more independent. Especially, I just turned 18, so I'm a little older for a senior, but turning 18, you're supposed to have a lot more responsibility and independence, and especially with COVID, it's made it a lot harder to kind of be able to just go out and do those sorts of things. But I mean, I've relied on them a lot, and I have a sister as well, and so you really have to kind of band together, because you can't just isolate yourself,
right?
Because you can't really go out to people. So I personally rely on my family a lot, though we have had some fights because there has been a lot more contact, and we've probably known or gotten to know each other a lot more than we initially planned for my senior year.
Shengyu, so because I think spending time or more time with yourself sometimes could be a challenge, because you have to show this high degree of self-discipline. You have to know how to use your time or manage your time in a really efficient manner. Is it hard for you? Because it seems you need to conquer multitask at the same time, applying for university, going back to China, and many more. So how is it going to you?
Yeah, so for me, I realized the importance of self-regulations, even in extreme conditions like COVID-19, like I have to go back to China, and I had to have a good attitude to deal with those fears, arrange my plans, and doing great time management. So with the pandemic brought out in the US, I left school and rented housing with Chinese friends. So at the same time, I had to face the process and the result of my applying for colleges, which is really hard for me. But I feel like, yes, to be positive to the future and facing all those uncertainties would be a good method for us.
What about you, Chenyu? So what do you usually do at home? Doing research for the professor, feed your cat, what else? Something different than before?
I think it's a good opportunity to really immerse in the books. But I think it's also important to keep a healthy routine. So after it broke out in mid-March in the East Coast, so I usually take a walk in the morning or in the evening when basically there's no people around.
You don't do that before, right? So you kind of this laid-back person, you don't do that before. You don't like to do exercise before, but it's during the pandemic they start to exercise more, right? You even take a walk. That's unbelievable, like from what I know of you, right?
I find it when you're stuck in the apartment for a long time, your brain and your intellectual activities are not active as I expected. I kind of feel like I become more dull myself. So I think I need more stimulation from the outside world. So just go outside to see how the season change. And I remember when I go out, there's only some campus guards around, and we shout at each other across the streets to exchange some greetings. That's all the conversation we can have in March. But gradually, I think another thing changed in my schedule is, so when we're back in the campus, you're tempted to make new friends whenever you meet a new interesting people. There are so many amazing people around.
Right.
During the COVID-19, it's not possible. What change that you have the chance to have a deeper and more in-depth relations with the friends you've known before. So we chat in the WeChat group on a daily basis, and when the COVID-19 is better under control, we resume our weekly meetings and to have dinner together and to share what happened in the life and change our thoughts. I think it's really important to have the in-person meeting and communications to stay sane.
Yeah, to stay safe and also stay connected. I think especially during a big crisis like the pandemic, we need each other more than ever. What about Alex? Because, you know, I know you have classmates, and for usually classmate people who major in law, you like to talk with each other, debate with each other. You sometimes even argue with each other. But, you know, during this pandemic, you might not even get the chance to see your classmates, professors that often. How do you socialize with your peers?
I found it less of an issue with my classmates. To be honest, I actually found it beneficial for my studies. Because I felt there was some mates aside from classmates that I would normally socialize with. They were obviously not doing a whole lot either. So I felt like it was good for me to sort of be able to knuckle down and get my head in some books. So I thought that bit of it was quite beneficial. The bit that I did really struggle with, felt that my teachers, I couldn't really communicate, or they weren't very good in terms of responding to me when I wanted to communicate or ask questions about things I was learning. That side of it, I really sort of struggled with, and I think was very beneficial to my exams. On a kind of selfish level, it was quite good to have that time where I was strictly focused on revision. It wasn't any of those external pressure dragged me away from my exams.
Well, actually, one of the things that is happening during the pandemic is many things have been gone online, right? You know, shopping has been going online, going to e-commerce, and also, you know, schools and classes have been going online as well. That's why you need to take so many e-learning, e-courses, right? So how do you like it? Is like easier for you, or you think, you know, it takes time for you to adjust to it? How about you? Why are you don't like it,
me?
Alex? Yeah, you don't like it?
Nah, I really, really like it. I like the opportunity. I feel like I can sympathize with the teachers in that I understand that it's probably quite a lot harder to sort of control a classroom when everyone's trying to sort of get their words in online. I understand that, but I do feel like it's more like you're narrated. You have a lot of input, it's less tailored to the sort of individual classes, and it's more just sort of generic. At least this was my experience. It's very much
right.
I didn't really feel like my university navigated that part of it really well. I think criticism.
What about you, Hemina? Because I know you major in management studies, right? So maybe for law or for some majors, it's easy to conduct the courses online. What about for you? How have been adapting to this increasing amount of time spending on e-learning and e-courses?
Well, to be honest, it was really, really hard because, I mean, when I'm at home, I don't focus as if I was in class. And I don't know, like the temptation of not going, and I don't know, I mean, it was really hard for me, but I know it's the safest way to keep following class, and I know some people like it, but to be honest, it was really, really complicated for me because I think it's not the same, I don't know how to explain it, but it's really, really different.
Yeah. What about Chip? Do you have an advice for Hemina, who doesn't seem to like the online courses a lot? Because I know you used to be a tutor, so you must have tons of experience of dealing with students, you know, about trying to solve their problems. So now, if you switch back to being a teacher and a tutor, what suggestions would you give to Hemina?
Well, I think on the bright side, you know, not having to travel to campus has allowed me as a student to enjoy a wider range of online seminars and webinars more conveniently from home, you know. and usually attending these sessions, I would normally not be able to attend, especially conferences, I think, like online conferences. Yeah, it just makes it easier. And I think Glasgow University did quite seamlessly. The change was swift and unprecedented. But I do agree with her. I think, although it's convenient, I just think the experience and the level of engagement are not the same. Many times you'd find, the speaker speaking to himself or asking questions, and all you hear is the awkward silence,
Right.
And it's just difficult for students to concentrate. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for those students who major in something like performing arts or theater or art, it's really hard to get the meanings across just by learning online, right? So I think it's really understandable for some students to find it really difficult to adjust to the a big amount of time spent on e-learning. So now let's turn to Ava. So Ava, what is your plan for applying for a university, and has the pandemic changed your options in any way?
Yeah, the plan as of now, if kind of things improve a little bit, we were planning on trying to at least look at some areas in terms of where I'm looking. I don't think I'll be able to necessarily go in and visit them, but I definitely want to try to at least get some sort of feel for where I'm looking.
Right.
That's probably just, like I said, that's probably been the biggest change in what I've kind of been planning to do. And especially with how much everything is online, that has affected where I'm kind of looking to go, because if a school hasn't adapted well and COVID continues,
right,
it's really a put off to kind of see you pay for so much and then not be able to receive it, partly because of the pandemic, but partly because the school isn't able to kind of receive that issue and deal with it properly.
So, Shengyue, because unlike Ava, you're 1 year older than her. Maybe at least your grade is one year earlier than her. So you have gone through this process of applying for university. So if there's one thing or two things that you think are the most important takeaway from your applying for universities, you can give to Ava and also Hamina, what would that be? You think they're most helpful to them in a way?
Yeah, I mean, everyone who knows about college applications know that it's never an easy process, and I believe it's even harder for the class of 2021 because they're facing more uncertainties. So my advices are, so first of all, to enlarge the numbers of college you're applying for, like to search for different areas, not only focus on a small part. So I applied for schools in like California, New York, even in Canada, but I finally decided to stay in Maine because it's quite stable.
How many schools have you applied in total?
I've applied 18 plus colleges. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, I applied to a lot. Actually, our college counseling in my high school just required me to apply for 12 colleges, but I think it's not enough for me because of the epidemic. And yeah, and also because we don't have chance to visit the school, so you have to do more research, like to connect with admission officers, to ask them questions to know how the school look like, how they deal with the COVID-19, how their learning method going to be, how they face those situations. So that's the two big advices that I can provide, and I believe those are helpful.
Hamina, do you think it's helpful, those suggestions just being given by Shengyue? Do you think it's helpful to you?
Yeah, yes, it will be. Thank you very much.
That's cool. So Shengyue, I think you applied for much more than 12 schools because you were admitted by at least 12 schools. That's what I heard, right?
Yeah, over a dozen of colleges.
Right, but out of those universities, you chose the one in Mayen, which is a little bit surprising to me. And also, is your choice of school being influenced by this pandemic at all?
Of course, because so I applied for those schools. So honestly, it's more difficult for me to choose a school because all of those schools, they're separated into different parts, and even some of them provide me extra scholarship because of the COVID-19. But I decided to stay in Maine after a very, very difficult and long-term ideological struggle because first, this is a place I'm familiar with. At least I have a lot of friends, my teachers here. Secondly, Maine is a relatively stable state in the speaking of the pandemic. So that's the reason why I chose Base College, stay in Maine.
Right. What about you, Chen Yue? Because just Sheng Yue just said this pandemic has made him think, in different perspectives about which school to choose. So does it influence you in any way about your decision for your future after you graduate from Yale as a master? Are you going to apply for a PhD? Or maybe, I don't know, do you have any other new plans that you haven't told me yet?
Okay, so I think when we graduate, our plan is that I think for most of the international students, we are thinking about maybe we can try the opportunities here in the United States. That's what we've been trained. So in the US, you have 3 months of OPT.
Right.
It means like after you graduate, you have to find a job in 90 days. Otherwise, you're staying here illegally. But most of my cohorts this year, international students, not only in my school, but other majors, so it's been 3 months already after the graduation ceremony. Most of them has to go back because they cannot find a job in 90 days.
Right.
I think the COVID-19 really impact the U.S. job market. So I'm lucky to have an offer to do a research assistant job.
Right.
But that has been decided long ago, before this COVID. Actually, after the March, most of the RA jobs or postgraduate jobs in the academia in the U.S. has been suspended due to the funding problems. I think another way it changed my future plan is that I have thought about going back to the Middle East after I graduate. I think that's where I'm really good at. I know much better. But thinking about the public health situations in those countries, I think that's not an option right now.
So
you have more concerns.
Right. So maybe it didn't change your option of being an RA at Yale, but it did, give some limitation to some of the other options that you may have if we don't have this pandemic, right? What about you, Alex? I know you're now trying very hard to become a lawyer, of course, start as a paralegal. But do you have before this, do you have any backup choices for yourself or about the friends or your classmates around you? What have been the changes that you all have observed that brought by this pandemic?
In terms of what hasn't really changed. I guess it's broadened the sort of jobs that I'm looking for. So I was I've had to sort of broaden the search. Whether it's really legal specific at the moment or whether if I look at other opportunities as well, the pandemic's going on. So I've had to, I guess in that respect, it's changed my plans to an extent. I guess because I'm living away from home, so rent obviously becoming quite an issue. This is sort of what jobs are in the market at the moment. I'm sort of looking to apply for. But other than that.
What about the help from help and other services from your university? Have they provide any services or help that you think they're really helpful in helping you to be more competitive in this job market?
For me.
Yes, Alex. Yes.
To be honest, my university hasn't been good at that at all. They did have a career service when we were able to attend the university. But it was quite understaffed, the amount of students went to the school, and that sort of just become even worse with it having to. I think they are still doing it, but it's have to wait for years in order to get an appointment to speak to someone for 10 minutes, and it really,
Right.
yeah, it's not really sort of leading to much from experience.
What about you, Chick? Because I noticed before you were actually a lecturer in college focusing on linguistics, right? Is that what you focused before? How about now? What is your project about? And some of my friends who are now studying or pursuing PhD overseas, they're a little bit worried or concerned about the future funding, about some of the changes, visa policies, or maybe international students policy that might get changed because of this pandemic. Is that something that you face as well, like a similar situation?
Oh, I'm sure this is a much more difficult question to answer for those who haven't landed a job.
Right.
And for me, like I said, I'm actually on study leave, so I am on hiatus. Eventually, I will have a job waiting for me. And I think COVID-19 it's just unprecedented. The other event I could recall when I was quite young is the 1997 Asian economic crisis, which of course crippled Thailand, Indonesia, and Korea. But I was really too young to feel the impact. And then again, in the past decade, Thailand has had its own political turmoil, which we still need to untangle. But nothing could compare with COVID, I think. I know that a lot of my friends who are back home with flight attendants, they're the first ones to go.
Right.
I'm just glad I'm doing a PhD right now, not working at the moment. And I think we were all caught off guard by COVID. I am not exactly affected by it because my funding has been granted for 4 years.
Wow,
So,
you're lucky, right?
Yeah. This is, I think, for graduates, this is indeed a difficult time, and I just hope we recover from this as soon as possible.
So what about you, Shengyue? Because now there are also some international students. Some people, as you, like college, high school graduate who are going to college, they're a little bit worried about whether they are able to get into, the country where the university admitted them. What about you? Like in September, when the semester starts, where are you going to be? Are you going to be here in China doing this remotely, or are you going back to the United States? What will be the situation like now?
It's all wanted to take the remote learning courses in China, at least before 2021. So as far as I know, my college will choose hybrid mode, like most universities in the US, mixed up with in-person teaching and remote learning. So students who are unable to come to campus, especially for me, like international student, will be allowed to stay in our countries or regions for online courses due to the travel restrictions. And to deal with the time difference efficiency, so my school adopt a 2+2 mode. That is, a semester is divided into 2 modules. Each module have 2 courses, and the first module will end in mid-October.
Okay, that's cool. That's actually give you this 2+2 model can give you some options and also the possibility to stay at home without traveling or, suffering this difficulty of traveling around. Maybe you don't have to take another 4 or 5 connecting flights back to the States at the moment,
That's
right?
true.
Okay, that's good for you. What about Hamina? So starting in September, are you going back to school or are you going to continue this online session, which you don't like very much? So have you gotten any news from the school yet?
Well, yeah, I think school will be on site, but we will have to wear masks and respecting all the safety rules. But we're not sure yet. We will see. I think if in France we have a lot of outbreaks, well, maybe school will be online again. But I don't know. They said it's gonna be on site, so we'll see.
Cool. So what about you, Ava? So did you get any news from the school? What about in September? Will the school reopen, or you still need to wait and see?
So I think everything hasn't been necessarily completely planned out, but the plan is to kind of have 2 different models. One, people have the option to go onto the campus for school and to go to school, and then the other is to take online. So I don't know the particulars yet about whether they're going to have Zoom at the same time as in-person classes or whether it's going to be kind of pre-recorded. But I definitely know that there's going to be kind of this double choice that you can choose from.
Yeah.
I also know that you have to wear masks, and so you're going to be trying to take precautions and do more outdoor classrooms if you do choose to go in person. The only other thing is I think sports are also starting, and they've only been pushed back a month, which is a little unique, at least for Wisconsin.
Right.
So I'll definitely be curious to see whether that changes.
That's cool. And what's your plan, current plan for universities? Just like Shengyue said, he applied for like a large amount of universities just in case, right? What about you? What is your plan? How many schools do you plan to apply, and what kind of major do you really are you really interested in?
So I was already kind of planning to apply for a large amount of schools just to see kind of where I can go, what I can get for scholarship and that sort of idea. I was actually planning to maybe go international as well.
Like
but
China?
with COVID, of course, that
No?
maybe China or
Oh, wow, cool.
or the UK or Japan or really anywhere. I was definitely curious about that. Traveling is something I'm definitely looking forward to because as of
Right.
now, I haven't really decided a major. There's kind of a lot of options open, but I think I want to maybe minor in East Asian studies or languages. And so, of course, that was something I was planning on doing. So when I'm looking at schools, that's definitely a major component is whether that's kind of involved. And so I'm kind of hoping COVID can quickly
Yeah.
get settled, partly for everyone else. I mean, I hope everyone can get back to what they're doing, but also so schools can have those exchange programs open back up, not only for me, but just so everyone can kind of be able to get those cultural experiences.
Right. That's something that I think we all look forward to. What about you, Alex? Have you been staying in UK since the pandemic? Will you actually get a chance to work around or to go around?
Yeah, I've been staying in the UK. I had a was going to go to Italy. That
Right.
got cancelled, unfortunately.
But the job that you look
so yeah,
for, or the job
I missed
that
the
you...
last bit of your question there, actually. Did you ask me something else?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, you can continue. You can continue with what you just say.
I wasn't very interested, I was going to say.
Oh, okay. So also about the jobs that you were applying. So all of them were in UK.
Yeah, all of the jobs in the UK, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So now I think I would like to give a few opportunities to our guests today to ask each other a question, to ask something that they're really curious about, that were they really interested in. How about let's start with Chen Yue, because you were a reporter. So you, just like me, can ask some really harsh and difficult questions, right? So you can ask anyone a question that you really want to know. Go ahead.
I have basically general questions for everyone.
Right.
So I'm curious how people around you or yourself are coping with the anxiety and pressure. Are your institutions providing enough assistance, like the counseling to students, to help them to cope with this difficult situations?
Can I answer?
Some of my friends
can
really
I answer
have
that?
difficult time.
Right. I think I can be the first one to answer that. Because, I just like you said, I think, or so many other people, we suffered a little bit of pressure, mental pressure at the beginning. What I did is I ate a lot at the beginning. That's why I gained a few pounds. But then I think after I realized maybe this is not a good solution, so I started to jog more and to exercise more. At the beginning, or at that time, actually, these gyms in Beijing are all closed. So I just do some keep or some, heat or some exercises at home. So, I have this kind of, dilemma of first of all gaining weight and then trying really hard to lose weight. But that's maybe not a good example from me. What about other people who can answer this question from Chen Yue? Something better than me, of course. Chip?
As a student, yeah, sure. We're being offered a lot of webinars and classes, and also Glasgow is offering this midweek coffee chat, so you get to talk to your colleagues informally. It's been a very difficult ride, I have to say. But I think one positive change for most international students is that you get to talk to your family more often than you would normally do. And COVID-19, I know this is going to sound weird, but it has in a way brought us closer, like virtually. Yeah.
Right.
And the other important thing is the life perspective. So I think you just find joy in little things in life, like going out for a walk or like I remember I look forward to going to a grocery store. I think people will actually
Right.
appreciate life more when all this is over. Yeah.
Exactly. Something that seems so trivial or normal before has suddenly become like a luxurious thing to do during the pandemic. So Shengyu, I saw you keep nodding when Chip said the importance of family. So why you really agree with him on that front, right?
Yeah, I strongly agree with the family things because I can't go to the US for the next semester, so I need to stay in China, stay with my family. So I will have my first birthday with my family since I went to high school in the US, which is so great for me. That's the pressure opportunity that I've had. And also I want to make some more points on the top of that. I feel like because we have more leisure time to have like remote learning, and in that spare time, I believe we need to have more great sense of time management to set up a great timetable to see meet new friends online and read great books and doing something we really love, but we didn't have time in the past. I believe those are something to keep us positive to face those uncertainties.
And I guess you, judging from the backdrop of this bookshelf, you also read a lot, right?
Yeah, I do.
And I don't know whether you noticed that it's you and also Chen Yue who are the only two using the bookshelf as the backdrop. Maybe you two can really, just kill the time by reading a lot, right? You're enjoying this time of more time with yourself, right?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, that's cool. How about Hamina? Do you enjoy this time of spending more time with your family, or did you get any help or services from the school about helping you and your classmates to release this mental stress during this special period of time?
No, actually, I kind of enjoyed it because, the first 2 weeks, I thought it was gonna be really, really hard, but it wasn't really. I tried to follow a healthy routine, like
Right.
working out, not eating a lot because, it can go really fast. But in school didn't do anything. To be honest, they didn't.
Right, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
But I watch a lot of series. I spend a lot of time with my mother during the lockdown. And I don't remember what I did, but basic things.
Your mom will be really, really sad when you say, "Oh, I spent so many time with my mom, but I don't remember much." She's gonna be really sad.
No, because it was I was spending time with my mom. I was watching series, was getting rest, and working out a little bit, and that's all.
Yeah, that's cool. But you actually think this family time, increasing amount of time spending with your family members is helping you, right, to survive this hard time. Yeah. So Ava, because I think you or Hamina might be the youngest guest for today's dialogue, so I want to give you an opportunity to ask a question because now some of the guests here, I think they're studying in a university, might be your dream school, right? Yale or Glasgow or other universities. So do you have any question to anyone here? Anything that you want to know or you want them to help you address?
Sure. So I guess it's more of a general question. I'm kind of curious about how the people around you are kind of dealing with COVID or how seriously they're taking it. 'Cause I know there's a large disparity between a lot of people, and I know universities will come out with statements about what they're kind of doing, but you don't really get the feel for what the actual students are doing or how safe it really is. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think I can start that. I think here in China is like people take it extremely seriously. Maybe that's what you heard as well, because we are among the first country to explore this COVID-19 virus. So the government really pay very close attention to it, and it's like people are also paying very serious attitude to it. So it's like everyone you see walk on the street, they wear masks voluntarily. It's like everyone you see, and also the the doctors, the medical facilities just were allocated in place within very short period of time. So it's like we're using all-out efforts to address those issues. But I think in many other countries, in the United States or in UK, or maybe the situation is a little bit different, because I remember when I texted Chen Yue, right, about 3 months ago, I was like, you have to wear a mask. But at that time, the US, the people, or many people in the US, they still don't think it's a big issue to wear a mask, right? So has the situation... what about Alex? How's the situation in UK? Or, yeah.
I think everyone's got a little bit bored of sort of sticking to. I think there's been lots of messages from government, so people at the beginning weren't really sure what they were able and weren't able to do, and I think it's become quite tiring for people. So I think that people are sort of going about daily lives much the same as they were before. Mm-hmm. Apart from the only real notice difference that I can see is going on the transports, on either the train, then it's compulsory to wear a mask,
right,
and going into shops, likewise. But other than that, I think that everyone's sort of really eager to get back to normal life and sort of taking quite a relaxed approach to things, which isn't obviously a very good approach to take, I don't think.
What about Hamina? What about the situation in France?
Well, in France at the beginning, nobody really thought it was a big deal. Even politicians said that it wasn't useful to wear a mask at the beginning, like in March, in March. And then now you have to wear a mask everywhere you go, in shops, in the subway, not in the streets, but we'll see. And it's really, but people respect it. At the beginning, no, but now because if you don't wear it in the subway, for example, you face 135 euros penalty. I don't know how to say it, but it's really taken seriously.
Right, it's really serious. Yep. So finally, I would like to give the opportunity to Shengyue, because now you're going to face a major transition of your life because you're going to college pretty soon. Do you have any questions for the big brothers and sisters here?
So how...
It seems you don't have any, right?
So my question...
You have your problem solved.
But...
If you don't, we can go to other people, right?
I didn't prepare for any big questions, but I still want to learn from those great big brothers and sisters about how they're facing their schoolworks, how their experience look like, and any advices for me, especially if they can imagine during the pandemic.
Right. So I think we have 3 people. I'm younger than you. No, that's not true. But we have 3 people, 3 guests joining us who are older than you. I guess it's Alex, Chip, Chen Yue. So let's just start with Alex, maybe to give not only Sheng Yue but also Ava and Himika and some other young people, young students who are going to enter college pretty soon, or who are applying, for universities pretty soon. Some of the suggestions that you think might help them to better adapt to this changing period of time. So, Alex.
What was the question?
So,
how to adapt in this? For new people to university,
right,
how they can adapt to the situation.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can't really say anything other than saying it's going to be very difficult. Really, I mean, it's going to be a massive change from my first year of university was like,
right.
And that was sort of a question that I prepared to the younger people about the sort of social aspects of university and how much that will be impacted, because I could just imagine it's going to be really difficult. I can just sort of symbolize. It's not a very positive tone, I'm afraid. but yeah, I can just sympathize with you guys about having to go through it.
Cool. So Chip, you you look confident. You already get the answer in your heart, right? Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, well,
Sorry
I
about
think
that.
it's a difficult time, just like Alex, but on one hand, I think that the UK universities are struggling to intake students, okay, for 2020 and 2021, and especially for those people who want the full UK experience. Okay? And coming to the UK, it's not about getting that degree. It's also about immersing yourself with the language and the culture as well. And that's why people are willing to pay a fortune for the experience, right? Especially after Brexit in EU, for EU students as well. And I think the question is, are we going to get the same experience or a comparable experience? So it's of course it's a difficult time, but there are actually services that are making the process easier. For instance, if you're not a native speaker of English, then, for instance, if you're taking the TOEFL, you can do it at home now, the at-home edition. I'm not sure if the IELTS is doing it, but that's one thing that's helping us in a way.
Right.
Just make sure that your SOP is succinct and is concise, and you explain why you'd like to be enrolled in the program. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. I can tell from, thank you so much, Chip. I can tell from Chen Yue, from your face, that you're really putting lots of thoughts in this question, because it looked like a hard one for you, right? So how does it go? Do you have anything for those young students?
I've been working for a few years before I came back to campus, so I really had a hard time adjusting to it at the beginning.
Right.
So my first suggestion, and especially during the COVID e-learning period, I think first you have to really make good use of your instructors. So my experience that before, the office hours usually limited to hours per week, because most of the professors don't really live on the campus, so they commute to the campus once in a week. And you have limited time to communicate with them directly. Actually, after COVID-19, since it's done remotely, they have more flexibility in their schedule and locations. So you can actually take more initiatives to ask for more time from your professors, get more attention for yourself. And I think it's really helpful to really discuss clearly with your instructor what's the aim of that course. Probably all of them are labeled as global history, but with different courses, they actually have different aims to train different perspectives to your academic abilities in that course. So the more you discuss with your instructor, the better you know where they want to train you. I think you have better outcomes. Secondly, I think the methodology really matters. So I advise the students to, maybe you're taking a history course. I think it takes probably an hour or two to browse on the internet. What are the history professors are teaching you? How to do history writing for this discipline, and what this course is about, how you deal with the sources, because each discipline, they have their own methodologies.
Right.
It's not the same. So if you get on board in the correct way at the very beginning, you kind of save a lot of time for yourselves. I think that will put you have some upper hand from the others.
Right.
And I think also in the COVID-19, you really have to be more proactive. Try to reach out to your cohorts, to the professors, because anyway, you won't bump into each other naturally on the campus. So you have to email them first.
Right.
Even they don't reply, you keep doing that.
Yeah, keep bothering them, right? Yeah, thank you so much. So before we wrap up, I'm just wondering, anyone else has anything to say or has any question to ask? So if not, we're just going to wrap up today's discussion. And I think, this pandemic is tough for everyone. It may be especially tough for those young students, young people, because it brings so many uncertainties to their lives. They need to apply for colleges. Maybe they're now studying abroad, and they're also looking for a job, or even, just make some basic life planning. But now there are so many challenges and also uncertainties going to those, which used to be same very normal process. But I think what is lucky is that I think the guests, at least joining us today, they not only share with us their problems, but they share with us their solutions. They not only share with us their desperations, but they also share with us their hope and also optimism. And I think this is really important because under this new norm, post-COVID-19, people are thinking or wondering about how to live a new life. And I think it is opportunities and like this, like the dialogue that we had today, can really make us clear about our future by talking to our international counterparts. And also, one of the best ways is also to communicate with each other to be more open-minded and also to get different takeaways from the people who can really provide helpful suggestions. So I would like to thank you, all of you, for your time and also for your very, very valuable inputs and suggestions. And also a big thank you to our followers for your attention. We'll have more to come next week. Thank you and goodbye.